This is a Gutter Fighting Secrets production. Travel Safety. Tips from Security Professionals for Travelers and Tourists by William Sherland and Derek Jacobson. The world is a beautiful place, but can also be a dangerous place. We, as much as any constant traveler, and even more so in regards to high-risk countries in constant turmoil and third-world status limited in access to the average tourist, understand the necessity to take measures and precautions to safeguard our lives and vital possessions from crimes of opportunity, terrorism, and other adversarial entities that exist in such places, rearing to take a bite at the chance to take advantage of an unsuspecting victim and foreigner visiting their country. This publication is designed to comprehensively provide information and tips with the best intentions to help the general public and civilian travelers and tourists abroad. There is certainly no end-all be-all manual on how to stay safe abroad, and much of this even applies stateside or in your country of origin. But it is our aim with this material to give you some insight and easy means at your disposal to protect yourself. We ask that you take the time to thoroughly digest this information contained here. Bring this material with you, enjoy yourself in your travels around this beautiful planet, and get home safely. Section 1. Things to consider before travel. Is your passport current? Do you have your necessary up-to-date immunizations for the regions you are visiting? Have you acquired the appropriate traveler's insurance coverage if not provided by your employer or non-governmental organization known as an NGO? Have you checked the State Department government website or your government's equivalent to those outside the United States for any travel restrictions or risk advisory updates regarding the places you are traveling? A word to the wise for the general tourist is that if your country has announced it is not safe to travel to a certain country, don't go there. Period. This obviously applies differently to those in a line of work, for example, contracted security or medical and humanitarian aid work through an NGO that necessitates going to such places. Understand the currency and exchange rate in the places you are going, including where reputable banks and exchange posts are located. Also consider valid traveler's checks or prepaid credit cards. You may have to utilize an international banking establishment instead of your local bank or credit union in your home country and state and city of origin. Understand where the embassy for your home country is located in these places you intend to travel. The same goes for hospitals or outpatient care facilities and pharmacies. Make sure you are booking your hotel and lodging reservations through a reputable agency or website. There are many fake, scamming, and phishing websites out there that can steal your personal and financial information. Another thing to consider is, do you have an international SIM card or data package for your phone or devices? And have you packed appropriate clothing for the region you plan to travel to? Pay attention to weather forecasts where you intend to travel. Also, don't be packing a lot of military-style clothing or use luggage that is tactical or military surplus in style. There is no reason to present yourself as such and will only increase risks of assault and kidnapping. Try to use luggage that has integral locks that cannot be opened by thieves. Section 2. Airport, train station, and ship port considerations. Pre-check your luggage. Make sure you haven't accidentally put or forgotten about an item, like a knife, that may slow down screening process or prompt being arrested at customs check once you've arrived at your destination. Weapons, particularly on aircraft in this day and age, are a major issue, heavily scrutinized and looked for actively. Always arrive no less than 30 minutes early. Dealing with TSA or other security screening areas can take time. Follow all of their directions during the screening process. Also consider services like pre-check to help expedite the entry and screening process. This may cost more money, but it can be worth it. Additionally, Arriving early for departure and ticket check-in is also obvious and recommended. Losing track of time and running late will only complicate your ability to leave at your scheduled time and can leave you stranded and cost you more money. Never leave your belongings and luggage unattended once past all screening and check-in areas, even in a busy airport, train station, or harbor or port. There is likely to be persons intent on stealing, pickpocketing, and digitally based crimes, like hacking or skimming. Once you have arrived at your destination, follow the proper customs queue to check your passport and visa if applicable, and ensure you haven't brought any prohibited items. Some countries don't allow you to bring your own tobacco or alcohol into the country, or allow only a minimal amount to be declared. The same goes for the amount of money that you have. Luggage can be lost or misplaced by transit staff from time to time. Make sure you have all the proper tags and labels visible. If staff do end up losing your bags, make sure you immediately contact the airline or shipping company and the facility security to help locate it or reimburse you. It is wise to have a ledger of all the items packed in your luggage for appropriate factoring should this issue arise. Also, regarding lost luggage, have at least 2 to 5 days worth of clothing packed in your carry-on bag, so you aren't without necessities in a foreign country in large part once you arrive. This includes money. Always keep your money on you or in your carry-on bag. You'll be able to get some amenities at a local store or shop, but until shopping is viable, you should have a way to keep yourself good to go. You'll be glad you minimized the stresses of travel. Section 3. Hotel Security Tips. Be smart about room and floor selection. Second and third floors are usually preferred to prevent intrusion through a window or commonly accessed ground floor. Pay attention to the emergency egress layout and where fire extinguishers are. Take a picture of an available diagram with your phone, it's usually on the back of your hotel room door inside the room, to assist you in navigating emergency escape routes. Utilize all locks on the hotel door, and when you're in your room, use something to immobilize the door handle, like a towel or pillow, and the commercial overhead hinge arm if there is that type on that door. You can use a belt or a sheet to cinch that hinge. Also put a glass or something to use as a secondary alert in front of the door. Always make sure the windows are locked when not being used or paid attention to. Even on an upper floor, based on the surrounding architecture or other physical aspects, a window or balcony can be reached. Use your privacy, otherwise known as do not disturb sign, at all times. Unless you accidentally drink the local water or eat some bad street food and have an accident, there really shouldn't be a reason for anyone you don't permit to be going into your room. You can request towel service at any time from the front desk. Keep your bags packed. If you use something, put it back in the bag afterwards, as well as repacking any dirty clothes. Leave no trace that you were there. Also, when you are ready to check out, either make the bed and put all towels back accordingly as they were when you first entered the room at check-in, or take the time to put all dirty bedding and towels into a single pile on a sheet. Tie up that sheet and place it on the bed. It also doesn't hurt to leave a couple bucks for housekeeping. They're more inclined not to say anything to management or potential outside opportunists affiliated with local organized crime or government agencies about your presence there. Do not trust the room safe. They can be picked easily or accessed by hotel staff. Use a locking suitcase or keep valuables like your money and passport on your person. If you don't have a bag or case that locks, secure and hide extra money and valuables in watertight bags, like Ziploc bags, and place in a quote-unquote covert container, like a bag of coffee, a shampoo bottle, and so on and so forth, so it will not easily be found. Also to note, do not do this before TSA screening at an airport only once at your destination. Avoid using open Wi-Fi networks provided by the hotel or neighboring locations. A secure data plan is far safer to prevent hacking and other digital intrusions. Additionally, try not to leave electronics behind in your room. But if you must, it is recommended to utilize safeguards for your devices, internal passwords and locks and such, and programs to protect your information. Also consider placing your items in a specific way so that if anything looks out of place upon your return, you can recognize that someone was in your room and that your technology may have been tampered with. Take a picture of the item placement if you need to. Utilize indicators on your hotel door, like a toothpick placed high up in the door jamb, or use the Do Not Disturb sign kind of wedged in the door jamb without interfering with the door closing and latching and locking, in order to best identify if there is an unwanted intrusion into your room while you are away. If you are in a high-risk area, it may be smart to not have the local cab driver, if you decide to use a cab, drop you off immediately out front of your hotel. You can always have them drop you off a block or two away, and you can vary your walking route back to the hotel to prevent being targeted for crimes of opportunity. In certain countries, the local cab drivers may be complicit in activities with organized crime or terrorist groups. So the same can be said for whenever you leave your room. Always pay attention for other people who may be quote-unquote casing unattended checked rooms or are potentially following you. This is also applicable for the lobby. If all else fails and you see or sense that something is off or wrong, or there is immediate danger to you, get to the lobby and contact the front desk or security and the police if they're trustworthy immediately. Avoid bringing local people back to your room. It is a foolhardy way to have your things stolen, or worse, be robbed or otherwise by an accomplice they may be working with. Sex tourism is commonplace in some countries, but it is always advised not to bring someone you don't know to your room. Utilize the prior points to safeguard your belongings and money should you decide against this advice and bring a sex worker back to your room. Additionally, if this is your intent, you should rent a second room just for such encounters and keep your items in your primary room. Also be cognizant of the facility's rules and local laws. Some countries or hotels do not allow such activities. Obey the local laws at all times to avoid international legal problems. This shouldn't have to be said, but these kinds of situations happen all the time abroad. If you decide to drink alcohol at the hotel bar, as applicable, be mindful of your beverage, how much you are drinking, and most importantly, who else is in the proximity. It doesn't take much for a criminal to take advantage of a drunk foreigner in such a vulnerable state. Pay attention to if anyone is getting close to you to pickpocket or drug your drink, or following you to your room. It would be wiser to purchase some legitimate alcohol at a shop or store and drink it in your room. Also to note, some countries, particularly the Middle East and Muslim-majority nations, do not allow the sale and consumption of any alcohol, and getting caught with alcohol may find you in jail. As ridiculous as this may sound to Westerners, it happens, and punishments can be quite severe. Section 4. Local travel by taxi and other driving tips. Obey all local laws regarding operating a vehicle on the road. Also be mindful of whether miles per hour or kilometers per hour are used. Some countries don't have the regulations the United States does regarding quote-unquote rules of the road. Be ready to have to deal with other drivers operating in a way an American would consider reckless. They will weave in and out of lanes, take every opportunity to merge lanes with the littlest observable gap between vehicles, and use their horn abundantly. Also, motorcycles and mopeds or scooters are a largely popular and widely used form of transportation, especially in underdeveloped countries. They will split lanes and weave in and out of traffic, so be mindful. They are not as easily seen as other cars and trucks are. Conversely, renting or buying a scooter or moped for travel around the country you are visiting may be the best course of action. They are cheap to refuel and can be more easily maneuvered in sometimes very narrow or congested roads. Be mindful of spacing on the road. Keep at least 1 to 2 car lengths distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. Being able to maneuver quickly to avoid hazards or evade and escape an emergency situation is of the utmost importance. Also be sure you are checking your mirrors often for risks and hazards behind you and to the sides of you. Pay attention, but stay calm and casual. Always have a secondary means of navigation. If your phone or device or GPS fails, have a physical map available. Also with this, have no less than 3 different routes mapped out getting to and from your hotel or destination. Also utilize this for routes to the airport or port and to your embassy should a serious situation arise and the need for assistance is required. Be mindful of your surroundings when entering and exiting your personal or rented vehicle. You are most vulnerable to assault, kidnapping, and robbery when you are inattentive in this position. If using a taxi service, ensure the legitimacy of the service. There are many criminal enterprises disguised as taxis who will coerce you into a ride, then take you unwillingly to an undesired or unknown location and rob you or worse. This also applies to general scamming and overcharging fare to the customer, so be cognizant and aware of the fare being charged and the change you get back. Always try to pay in local physical currency, though sometimes the American dollar can go a long way depending on where you are. As mentioned before, some taxi services are run by or affiliated with organized crime or terrorism organizations. So if you feel uneasy or have suspicions about the driver, have them drop you off at a different point than your intended destination or get out of the car immediately. Then either hail another cab or evasively walk to your final destination or to a crowded, heavy pedestrian foot traffic area. Section 5. Handlers, Guides, and Third-Party Facilitators. It is common for tourists to book tour guide services. It is always recommended that you properly vet the website and service group you are considering. In places like Mexico, many of these guides may be affiliated with the cartels, so being picky and cautious is not a bad thing when checking into such services. Another potential issue is that the handler or guide, though reliable, may undertake less than legal or desirable means to get your patronage. There are many local scams in underdeveloped foreign countries, and much like the taxi-related factors in the prior section, they may be up to no good. Be smart about what services you decide to use if you haven't brokered them in advance. Some guides may have knowledge of illegal activities or have the ability to obtain illegal drugs and substances or weapons. Do not, under any circumstance, take them up on any offer of such, as not only can that get you killed, taking an unknown substance, but land you in a terrible foreign jail or prison if caught. But they may also be putting you into a quote-unquote trick bag, which is a term for setting you up to be caught doing something wrong with the intent of getting you in trouble. This also happens in places like Southeast Asia, Central and South America, and the Middle East. Many foreigners end up in their jails on charges of drug smuggling. Once you have a valid guide service, make sure they understand where all you plan on going in regards to things like historical sightseeing. They may offer some additional little things to check out, like a good food stand, and by all means take them up on that legitimate offer if you're comfortable, but don't let them take you anywhere you didn't plan on or doesn't relate to what you intend to see while on the touring circuit. Guides can sometimes also unknowingly take you into areas hostile to Westerners, and that can result in some bad incidents not limited to hijacking, kidnapping, robbery, and so on. If you are using a handler for business-related purposes, make sure they are trustworthy and have a good network with local law enforcement or security likewise. Last thing you need is a facilitating handler who you thought was legitimate, ending up being a wanted criminal or as an accomplice to a rebel militia, cartel, or terror organization. Section 6. When you're out on the town. Apart from sightseeing, shopping and going to local bars and restaurants is a normal daily series of activities when in a foreign country. But you should always be aware, especially with theft, pickpocketing, and robbery. Keep your money and passport in a frontal pocket that is harder to access. There are also pieces of special clothing and other devices easily obtainable to keep your items well hidden. Try not to carry a large purse with a wide opening either. It's very easy for someone to grab the whole purse or items inside with relative ease when you are not paying attention or you are attacked. In conjunction with this point, always pay attention to your bags, packs, and purses. If you don't have it secured to or worn on your body, it is wise to have these straps fed under and through a chair leg of the chair you are sitting on, so it is much harder for someone walking by to just grab it and run. Pay attention to the exits in any establishment that you are in. Having the means to identify and utilize them to escape trouble is extremely helpful. Always pay attention to the change you are getting back after paying for something. This kind of scam is the most common over anything in many foreign and underdeveloped countries. Also pay attention to what money you are making visible with such transactions. Keep larger bills well hidden until you are ready to break them down for smaller value currency. This will help from bringing attention to yourself from both scammers and robbers if they don't think you are carrying a lot of money. Pay attention to what you are eating and drinking. Many foreign countries do not have the water quality or food preparation hygiene standards that Western countries do, and you can get very sick from drinking dirty water or eating poorly prepared food. This happens often, so if you see unhygienic qualities to food being prepared, do not eat it. This also goes for tableside condiments that may have been sitting out for days and have been touched and influenced by many hands and mouths. Many times you will be served bottled water and bottled beer. This is preferred to prevent illness, and tap water in your hotel may not even be clean. You may want to acquire water purification tablets to handle the issue. In conjunction to point 5 in the prior section regarding hotel safety, be mindful of your beverage if you are out at the bar in the local nightlife activities. It can be very easy for someone to drug or poison your drink, so pay attention to it and who may be paying attention to you in the establishment. Look around casually as not to bring attention to the fact that you may know something is wrong. Be very careful when leaving the bar and the nightlife area back to your hotel or place you are staying. Much like with prior points in the travel and taxi service section, an intoxicated foreigner is easy prey. Staying with a group of people is always recommended as well to better keep you safe and from being isolated. Get into transportation as quickly as possible. If you are being followed or have a bad feeling about a person near you, move as quickly and calmly as you can away from them and into the busiest and most heavily occupied area you can get to. Alert local staff at the establishment, or if you see a security or police officer, immediately regarding the person in question. Stay calm and give them as many details as possible with the events and the description of the suspect. Section 7. What to do if you are being followed or watched. Kidnapping avoidance. There are several identifiers in regards to spotting risks with areas prone to kidnapping foreign tourists or being surveilled by criminal or state actors. The first is, as mentioned before, understanding the country and region that you are traveling to. There are government and third-party websites that post constant updated information on areas that contain these risks. Pay attention to them. Trust your gut. If you feel uneasy or the hair on the back of your neck is standing up in a natural reaction to subconsciously knowing something is wrong, listen to it. Get out of that area immediately. If you notice someone or people watching you intently, pay attention to that and take the proper actions to get out of the area to safety. Conversely, if you feel like you are being followed, you may need to, quote-unquote, stay the course and confirm and identify that they are indeed following you. Make a pit stop. See how they act. If you see the same people in the same vehicle or foot traffic area repeatedly and paying attention to you, take action to avoid them and alert authorities or an accessible place to ask for assistance. Plan your routes. Have no less than 3 routes as means to avoid and escape and get back to safety. Pay attention to locations on a route you are taking that would be apt to backtrack to in order to get help if multiple routes are not viable. You can also be spontaneous if you identify you're being followed. Make a U-turn. Take some extra time in a store or establishment, or casually but quickly switch to another road, or to another taxi. In accordance with prior points in the hotel security and taxi sections, be mindful of people paying attention to you in the hotel and if they're behaving in a way that focuses on you. Be aware of crime rings involved with fake taxi services that may coerce you into becoming a victim after getting into their vehicle. The same can also be said about motorcycles and scooters. There are many criminal and terrorist groups that use them to quickly move on a target for both robbery and attempted kidnapping purposes. Additional evasion points. Choose a nondescript type of vehicle to help blend into the population and vehicles around you. Choose neutral clothing to wear to best blend into the crowd and population around you. A vibrant Hawaiian shirt, patterns that stand out, and at times formal wear are going to make you stand out. Dress appropriately to the area, but take measures not to bring attention to yourself in your presentation. Use your environment, such as windows, car mirrors, and etc., to pay attention to what's behind you and further identify if you are being followed. A camera or your phone camera can be useful. If you know you are being followed or feel like you are being followed, try to take some pictures of the persons or vehicles of suspicion while staying casual. Further attention to your surroundings is important. Look out for people on rooftops who may be watching you, and look for quote-unquote spotters. People, including children and the elderly, who may be using phones or radios to notify organized crime or terrorist groups of your presence. This is common in Central and South America and in the Middle East. As mentioned in the prior driving section, there are right and wrong ways to drive and maneuver in various areas and thoroughfares. Go with the flow of traffic and drive defensively while giving yourself a little space. But sometimes if immediate danger presents itself in a manner of high risk and threat to life, that is when taking a more aggressive style of driving may be appropriate. Weaving in and out of traffic, driving over curbs and medians, and using your horn and lights excessively will help you in escaping the threat or bringing attention and the need for help from those around you or law enforcement. Get to safety or your embassy as quickly as possible without risking your life operating the vehicle. Study and pay attention to the side roads and alleyways as applicable to use and maneuver through to avoid and escape persons that may be following or quote-unquote tailing you. As mentioned before, sometimes a simple bribe or exchange of currency can help you get out of a dicey situation. Some countries' law enforcement may take money as a means to grant you passage or help you avoid further problems or outside extortion. Section 8. What to do if something bad happens. Stay calm. The last thing you need is to panic in the event of an emergency or attack. Fight back. Make noise. Remember that you are your immediate protector and last line of defense. See the other Gutter Fighting Secrets material to help best prepare you to protect yourself physically abroad. If you are kidnapped, take any action and try to escape the vehicle you are being held in, or try and escape the initial quote-unquote stash point, where they stop in the interim to transfer you to another location and keep you hostage further. Keeping something sharp, like a nail file or razor blade, hidden in your clothing or in a shoe may be helpful to cut out of your restraints. Try to hide your phone so you retain it to contact help and activate the GPS. Also consider an emergency tracking system for your phone as recommended by your traveler's insurance company. Contact local law enforcement immediately. Provide any and all details regarding the situation. If you have problems with language barrier and cannot get a local to help you, see the next point. The next point is contact your embassy. They can assist you in getting out of the country or provide other services and means to help in the event of an emergency. If there is no embassy for your home country in the area you are visiting, you can also try to contact the local military base where friendly or coalition units are stationed for assistance. If for some reason you are incapacitated and laid up in a foreign hospital, the hospital will contact the embassy for you to figure out the best course of action. Also, some embassies have a medical center on site, and this may be a much better option to obtain medical treatment if you are able to get there. Contact your insurance company. As mentioned before, you should have acquired traveler's insurance. Most also utilize subsidiary or partner risk management agencies to assist in kidnapping negotiations and work with the embassy to best assist you however you need it. Contact your banking establishment. Ensure that your finances are secure if your credit card is stolen and that you can withdraw more money if you are robbed of your cash. Finally, contact your family. They in turn may be able to help facilitate with the embassy as well to best help you and provide further help to get you home safely. For resource assistance, check the helpful links and information page within the manual provided with this audio production. Any further questions can be directed at the Gutter Fighting Secrets website or to your local State Department. This has been a Gutter Fighting Secrets production. Thank you for your patronage, and we hope that this material is able to assist you with information to safely travel abroad.